Hello, stamping friends. My name is Lorri Heiling, in case you haven't ever joined me here. And I just want to welcome you to my Facebook page. And I like to share creative things that I've been working on. And so I'm excited to show you what's in store for today. I am going to show you a Christmas card that I created. However, I did get inspired by a picture on Pinterest, which I will share the link in my video, because when I do, get a jump start in an idea, I do like to share that. So I will put the original card that inspired me, and then I turned it into a Stampin' Uppy one and substituted our products. So I will share that link with you. So today's card is, I just want to show you that you can really be conservative when you do some layering on cards, and I'll show you what I mean. This is a non-traditional colored card to put black and red, which is a fun combination, but typically you don't see this in a Christmas card. So look at how many layers there are, and every time you add another layer, there's more dimension, and then there's more cost to it. So I just want to show you some little tricks where you can save some money and some layers, so hopefully you can get by on one stamp. I always like to share that I put my host code up here. If there's any products that you're interested, please use the host code, and if your order is over 150, then if you want to just reap the benefits yourself of the host rewards, because any order over 150 will start earning you some rewards. All right, so let's start creating this card. The stamp set that I'm going to use is, actually this one is only used on the inside, but this is bundled together with the dies, and the dies are worth it alone, and then throw in the stamp set that coordinates with it, and you save 10% if you get both of them. So we're going to use the sentiment on the inside, and we're not going to use this stamp set for stamping on the outside. And then an oldie but a goodie that I pulled out from my stash is Snowman Season, and I was just eyeing the snowflakes on here. So we're going to use that one. All right, so our card base is a typical 8.5 by 5.5, scored on the long side at 4 1/4. So you can go ahead and do that, and then set that aside. And the next layer, as you know, I lost my ruler. I think I told you that in the last video. I have been scrambling. Like, I know we have rulers everywhere. Like every year, Brady's backpack comes home with at the end of the school year with a ruler in, and then I cannot figure out what I do with them. So I found this in our junk drawer from Granite Falls, Minnesota. This was probably when my husband went to school. That's how old it is. But I do have a new one ordered, and it hasn't arrived yet. But anyway, I'm going to make this layer a really tight fit. So it's just going to be 1/8 smaller than the card front, which would make it 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So you're going to cut that rectangle out, and then you are going to take the stitched rectangle dies, and you're going to cut out the middle of that. And the dimension of this one is about 4 1/4 by 3 inches. So cut that out, and you're going to want to save both layers. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and show you all the cutting I did at one time, so I don't have to keep going back and forth. Then the next layer is going to be a piece of basic black cardstock, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. And then we're going to cut out the middle again, just like we did with the real red one. And this rectangle is going to be the 4 inch by 2 5/8 inch. And again, you're going to want to save both pieces of this, okay? Now, before we start adding it to our card base, we're going to do our stamping. And I used Whisper White and the bigger snowflake, and just ink that up and kind of randomly go wherever you want. Make them as tight or loose as you want. Don't do too many of them. Some of them you make them just go on the edge and just barely on, okay? I like that when you stamp off a little bit. And then there's a smaller snowflakes stamp that we want to just kind of go in between here. And again, just random, doesn't have to be too solid. And we're not gonna emboss this, even though this is called craft ink, and you could dump some embossing powder on if you want, but I just want a little bit of that chalkboard look. And then we're gonna take that other piece that was cut out, and I like to start with the larger stamp when I do this because it's easier to fill in with smaller things. So I don't want too many of them, and I'm gonna leave a little area open where that other die is gonna go. So let's just go like this. Okay, now we can start adhering it together. So let's take our card base. I think I can move this paper now. And let's just fold on that score line. And then we're gonna put the first piece. And you know what, if it's not perfectly straight, like look at this side is a little bit wider than that. Normally I'd try to line it up perfectly, but I knew that this is gonna be covered up anyway. So this one we're just gonna put snail straight down on it, no dimension on this one, because again, there's lots of paper here and we don't want it to get too thick. Now this one's gonna be a really tight fit. I like tight fit cards when there's only 1/8 of an inch of a border. And now we want to add that black one. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Don't use dimensionals on this unless you want a really fat card that you may have put another stamp on. And this is going to layer right on top of that. And look at, we made kind of like a faux layer. A lot of times you just cut out that piece, the whole thing, and it's such a waste to have that inside not used, you know, like the red would be solid. But we cut that out for a reason because, and here it is, the one that we cut out, we're just gonna make this as a second layer, and we saved a whole layer of paper because we're doing this. All right, then let's just center, and this is the one we're gonna pop up. We do want some dimensions, so I'm gonna pop up this. And then this one, we're just gonna put flat. And this is the one that got cut out of that back black piece. Again, remember that could have been its own layer again, but we're gonna save some paper and make it out of the one that we already cut. All right, we're about half done with this card already. Now, a lot of times when I do videos, I want to show you the bundle and show you what a value it is and stuff, but this one, I am pulling a little bit of everything from my stamp room. And that's because sometimes, you know, you just need a little this, a little that. And so if you don't have exactly what I have, just improvise, because it really doesn't, you know, have to be identical. But the poinsettia die is something that you will need. All right, so this is what I mean by this. Rather than cut out all the holly leaves, I just decided to save some time, and I use the Forever Flourishing die, and this coordinates with the Forever Fern. You might have that already. And grab my scissors here, and I'm just going to snip a few pieces, and I am going to, let's see, I can't remember if I used, I think I did, well, let's snip it. It's hard to maneuver when it's all one. When it's split, then you can kind of maneuver it better, and then see how two of these leaves won't separate. So I need to trim those away from each other. So just go like that. All right, now the next thing we're gonna do is put the greenery down. So let's see, I think I started with the one that has 2 on it. Let's do this one. Actually, I'm gonna cut this one off as well. I only want 2 on here. So again, if you need it separated, just don't be afraid to cut those leaves apart. And I need my smaller scissors for this. This is an old Stampin' Up! Scissors that I can't give up. I use all the time. All right, let's go like this, and we will, whoops, my glue is coming out here. I need a little bit of tissue. Sometimes that Tombow glue has a mind of its own and it wants to keep coming out. So let me put a little bit on the back and just glue some of these down. All right, and I have some tissue on me now. It's like toilet paper on my shoe, right? All right, now let's go a couple more here. Be one sticking out at the bottom. I like to work in 3s, so you'll see that. One down here, and let's put one more snip a little bit more off here. One more down here. All right, I think that's good. And it's okay if some of the glue's hanging out, because we're gonna put the flowers on top of here. Actually, that'll help it stay down. All right, now let me set this aside. I cut out 2 poinsettias before, but I do want to show you a little trick with this, because there's actually 2 dies for this. One will cut the outside, and this one you can see cuts the indentations and the veins of the flower. So what you need to do, or what I do, I think it's easier, rather than cutting it out twice, cutting once for the outside edge and then again for the inside, I set them inside of each other, and then I take some old washi tape and I just place it across, and that way if I'm going to cut out a bunch of them, I don't have to keep running it through twice. So just let it catch like that, and then you're just going to put it on top of that and run it through your machine, and it'll cut them and emboss them at the same time. Then where the veins are, I just kind of bent them on the vertical side, and it'll give it a little bit of dimension. So do that to both of those. And then when you layer them together, just take a little bit of liquid glue and just put it in the center and offset them like that. And then we want to put the center, which is, I used Bumblebee for this, for the color, but really any yellow that you like will do. And I'm digging for my dimensionals, and one little dimensional will fit perfectly on the back of here. So here's one that we have done already. Now for the smaller one, there's actually 2 dies in this set, so you can cut out 2 at the same time. And again, I ran it through, and this one is all in one. You don't have to layer them like that. It cuts and embosses all that by itself. And then, like I said, I'm going to grab everything in my craft room here. Do you remember this punch called Confetti Flower? So I'm just going to pick out one of these, because I thought this was overpowering for that. That's as small as it gets, and it was just too big, but yet I wanted yellow in there. So I just picked one of the flowers, and I'm going to punch that out. And I want to put that in the middle. So just put, whoops, my glue, like I said, it has a mind of its own. It wants to keep coming out on its own today. Does yours ever do that? And let's put a little glue there, and then just, whoops, use your finger and lick it and pick it up that way, rather than my pick tool, which was right next to me. Okay, there's our 2 poinsettias that are going to go on the card front. Now I'm going to reach for more dimensionals, and on a bigger item, I just like to stick one larger dimensional on there. So I really do use both large and small. I always have both in my stash. And let's put that just right about there. And then I even cut out a berry, and I'm going to trim this down a little bit. And I'm just going to stick this in the back just to pull some red up here as well. And you can do this before or after you put it on the flower, but just make it go like that. And then let's add to this one, and I think I'll use a small dimensional on this one, a little bit smaller flower. All right, now the last little tip I want to share with you is, let's see, about right there. So see how fast this is coming together? It's really just a little bit of time at the die cut machine, and once you do all that, then it comes together pretty fast and easy. The last part I want is the Joy die. This die is so cute because I love lettering and the really skinny letters and stuff, and so the Joy die, it comes with joy, believe, and peace. So I chose joy. The reason I chose joy is because it's the shortest of the words, and I didn't need a big long word. And I actually cut it out of fun foam. And fun foam, you know, you can get it at any craft store in the gaudy section, because it's like a kid kid craft, but it cuts so nicely. It cuts like butter in your cut and boss machine. So we're just going to cut that out, and it's you know, thick, and it's easy to work with. It's flimsy. So we're just going to add a little bit of liquid glue on the back, and we're just going to stick that on the front a little bit at an angle. And there you have our card. All right, now the inside, can't forget that. My paper is 5 1/4 by 4, Whisper White. This is just pretty basic. Probably don't even need to show you this, but I did choose Mossy Meadow for my ink. And Mossy Meadow was my choice because that's what color the greenery is on the front. And just ink that up and go right smack in the middle. If you wanted to add some more poinsettias like from the stamp set, you could do that, but I just made mine pretty basic so that I can write more for my sentiment or for my little birthday wishes when I mail it. And then just adhere that, and let's put that right in the center. And so, like I said, a not so traditional colored cardstock for a traditional card. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that today, and thank you again for joining me. I will be back again on Friday morning, but I just wanted to touch base with you. And don't forget, I have my class to go this month for September, and it's Have a Hoot. So if you want, you can go back and watch the video on that and see the PDF and the options for the class that you can get. All right, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.